Hi, I'm Zach Shelby, co-founder and CEO of EdgeImpulse, and I have with me today Adam Benzion. Adam is an amazing entrepreneur, and he's now joined us as an investor and advisor. And Adam, why don't you tell about your journey joining EdgeImpulse? What got you excited about this space?
Great, thank you, Zach. So I'm actually really new to EdgeImpulse. This is my first week, even though I've been working with the company for about 2 months now. Just as an advisor, active advisor, hands-on advisor. But I've joined EdgeImpulse actually originally as an investor and also as a board member because, first and foremost, because of the team. I know Zach for many years. I've seen his track record as an entrepreneur and as an executive and somebody who starts actually also movements of what he did at Microbit. And all the work you've done at ARM as a vice president of IoT. So I know Zach for years, and I was always very impressed with him as a human being and with his career track record. As well, I'm also familiar with Jan, the CTO and the co-founder of EdgeImpulse, and I've been tracking his career and know him through friends of friends and other people in the industry, and his technical depth, his personality, which I love, and what he brings into the team. So just from the get-go, this duo, the combination of these two people and their vision and what they see as a gap in the industry, something that was missing, something that they saw while working at ARM. To me, just as an entrepreneur myself and as an investor, that was the first instinct that I had, that they know from the inside what's missing, and they have the skills, both technical and managerial skills, to pull something off that is very interesting. So as a lot of investors in the world, often you go with that to start with. This is a good starting point, and you trust that this kind of team can actually discover and build the things that are needed in the industry. So that's, for me, was day one. That's when I met Zach to talk about this, wrote my check, and sort of walked back to my day job leading a company that I previously founded that was acquired by a Fortune company that I've been leading ever since, which was fun, and I didn't really think of leaving. I was very comfortable with it, and I loved what I did. The more this time progressed, I started developing slight FOMO with EdgeImpulse because I started to understand more and more the vision and what they're actually building. And I also come from a background, not an engineering background, but a hacker and technology background, and in particularly in hardware. I started a hardware company in my life that was acquired, and I learned a lot about shipping consumer electronics. And then I started a large community, in fact, the largest community for hardware enthusiasts and developers called Hackster. So I understand a lot about electronics and hardware and cloud and firmware and all that stuff and embedded. And I realized that what EdgeImpulse is doing is they're going to touch billions of devices, potentially as an addressable market, devices that are very capable, but nobody tapped into their potential yet, so to speak. These devices are producing a lot of data, a lot of information. Nobody is extracting it correctly, doing something with that data, and returning it to the device so the device can actually do new things that it was never even designed to do. It's extremely compelling to semiconductor companies, to anybody across the industrial space, from machining to crane operators to automotive sector, and all the way to sustainability, wildlife tracking, agricultural technology, even managing beehives. I've heard people come to me and told me how they can actually manage the health of beehives through sensors in EdgeImpulse and detecting the smallest anomalies in the natural world that can, translate into problems or better yields that farmers and people that grow all sorts of food products can use. So to me, it was really a journey into this company, started by knowing the humans, understanding the industry, and then seeing the vast potential of this technology that is being built here and what we can do together. So when I had the opportunity, at some point after a long talk with Zach, I decided that this is the time for me to join something really meaningful and big and do something new. So I'm happy to be here.
And Adam, you recently joined us as our Chief Experience Officer, leading all of our strategic business development, our partnerships, and our marketing and community. What gets you excited about doing this, and how does this, feed off your experience with Hackster and your community there?
Right. So a few things. First, because I worked with Edge Impulse under Hackster when I was leading Hackster, which is, again, it's a large 1.5 million developer community with a ton of content, 24,000 open source projects, etc. I've noticed something interesting, that every time we'll post things about tinyML and Edge Impulse and the work that you do, from what I know about my community, that people responded to this well above the average response to the average stuff that people throw out there. It was not normal, actually. For example, I'll give you a very tactical example. You post a webinar from any large company and anybody we work with, and you can get 400 participants, and it's a really good number. Edge Impulse, an unknown startup talking about tinyML and machine learning and embedded, post an idea to join a webinar, and you have over 2,000 people wanting to join the webinar. And I started seeing this more and more, and I realized that there's a hunger in the community and in the industry to learn more about these solutions. So that's one thing that I saw as an interface into the company. There's a demand curve right now for this technology. And as the chief experience officer, my job and the way I see the world is how do people interact then with Edge Impulse? If there's a large desire and need to consume what Edge Impulse is building and will be building, what's the easiest way to interact with the company? It starts simply with a website. What's the easiest website that you can go to and start writing code and experiencing the studio in less than 5 minutes? How does that look like? What are short, really great videos that empower customers and the use cases that help people use Edge Impulse to illustrate the power of the technology and the company? How do we help developers learn about the Edge Impulse, make the experience to start with free, and only when it becomes a commercial experience then it becomes gated and there's a cost to it. So really kind of create a life cycle of experiences from easy, fun, valuable, value. Everything should have value, not just fluff, and we're just not a tech company. So that's really important for me, to create this authentic experience from here's what we do, learn about it. It will add to your career. You'll be probably more hireable after you learn how to use Edge Impulse. And then taking into the partnerships, like the semiconductor industries. How do they work with us? How does Edge Impulse works on their products? And then the final and the really most critical part is the end customer. How do we all find end customers that use Edge Impulse to make the product safer, better, faster? In some respects, you tap into a lot of devices, edge devices that people already deployed, and they don't need to actually do another big hardware rollout. The exact same devices can provide so much more value, and you can extract so much out of them for the exact same cost. You just have to use a different layer of software to do it.
So you talked about values, and I think we should talk about culture and values. This is something that's always connected us when we've worked on the microbit and education, and we worked on wildlife conservation projects.
Right.
And when we founded Edge Impulse, something that Jan and I really cared about was the values of the company and the team. Things like empowerment of users and our own team members, the user experience that we provide people, and technology for good is something at the core. So, what kind of technology for good applications do you get excited about with Edge Impulse that we can go empower the community and our partners with?
Great. I think it's a critical question, because it's something that comes with you become a bit more of a mature person in the industry, and for people like us we've both been employees and entrepreneurs, and we've done both. You get to kind of choose now and be very selective on the things you're going to work with as you earned your career into a better career. To me, I wouldn't join Edge Impulse if it wasn't founded on these values and principles of sustainability, technology for good. Profit is extremely important for anything to thrive and grow, but you could be a little selective on where you actually invest and what kind of projects you take on. So for us in particularly, we started working on a project, for example, called Elephant Edge. We are building together as we speak, as we're building this video, an elephant collar. It's a next generation collar that will last for up to 8 years. to help conservationists, people like the World Wildlife Fund and a company called Smart Parks, to track elephants' behavior and motion, and all sorts of things in the wild to help understand how do they live, how do they thrive or not thrive, and also anti-poaching technologies, etc. And it's all going to be powered by Edge Impulse. So anything to do with wildlife conservation, it's something that we feel strongly about, which we will pursue as one spectrum of all the other commercial stuff we'll do. Wildfires, for example, helping power energy companies understanding the grid, proximity to trees, timber, and all that creates so many problems. Right now in the west coast of the United States, and all the way to agricultural tech, like we discussed. Beehives, I heard from a farm, somebody works with a farmer, an amazing example that bees get attacked by wasps, and you can detect wasp sounds and bees' stress through sound sensors and even motion sensors, and understand that this specific type of sound tells us that the bees are being attacked by wasps, and can tell the farmer that the hive is under risk and they should do something about this. So there's so many beautiful things that we can bring to life here that are still commercial. We still make money of it. We'll still make even money from the elephant edge, but we do so by doing good things in the world. And that's critical, I think, in the 21st century, that every new business should be founded on these principles. No longer, it's a side thing that we do just because it's nice. I think it's core to a modern business. So I'm here for that.
And that's something we take seriously. We even take it to the next level. One thing we did that I think is really innovative is that we've taken our ethics and values of machine learning and we've put that into a formal legal license. So we actually use a responsible AI license at Edge Impulse, which makes sure that every user on the platform abides by the same principles.
Yeah.
They can only work on applications that are for good and for the good of people or society.
Yep, I mean, it attracts the right people. I mean, I hope I'm the right people, but I'm definitely here also because of that. I had to verify this, had this conversation with Zach prior to joining, and I think it's important,
Thank you, Adam. Thank you for joining me.
Sure. Thank you.